Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome into the Studs Podcast. We have our new platform on StreamYard. Today, we have Big
StreamYard.
Louie. What's up?
Oh, I got my own player card and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. I'm doing well. How you doing, Mike?
Doing well. And filling in for his brother, Keith, it's Big Rick. Big Rick, how you doing, man?
That's not an accurate weight.
And, shout out to Keith. You can follow us below. You see the little ticker. And where's the other one? We got this one too. Our Instagrams. You can follow us on Instagram as well. Let's get into it. Last Dance. We'll recap the last two episodes. And then just talk overall about the whole thing. So a couple of weeks ago, I know, Erik, what you have any thoughts about the last two episodes? Anything that stood out?
I don't know. I feel like it was kind of a recap of like stuff that a lot of people already kind of knew about, like how the Chicago faced Utah back to back in 97 and 98. But I didn't know. I thought it was interesting about how I think they showed the flashback in 97 when John Stockton hit that, or is it Jeff Hornacek? One of them hit the game-winning shot over Houston to go to the finals in 97. I didn't know that. So I thought that was cool. And then like they kind of went over the whole flu game in more detail. And then it ended up being food poisoning and he didn't really actually have the flu. So I thought
Do you
that
believe
was cool.
that? Or do you think he was hungover the night before?
I think he did get food poisoning. I don't think he was hungover.
What was that, from like a pizza place or something? He ordered like pizza?
Yeah.
I guess, but the pizza guy debunked the whole rumor. Rumors came out that he went out the night before, was partying.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was
Still
food poisoning from
How
the
could
pizza.
the pizza man make that claim, though?
What, that it didn't happen? The claim was that five guys went there.
Yeah.
He was one of the pizza guys, and he's like, "Nah, it was just me." So that's
I think it could be a combination of both.
probably is. You can never believe anything. It's probably a combination of both. There was probably three guys, food poisoning, plus he was hungover. It was probably all three. Anyway.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just found those few things interesting. The other stuff, I feel they really just kind of recapped the whole 98 finals after that, I think. And I think they did touch on the Eastern Conference Finals too in those episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But, it was also, I think it was nothing like shocking or anything that we really didn't know or didn't expect. So those are my takeaways.
Agree. Louie?
Yeah, I got a couple of things. I didn't know that the Jazz did go back to back to the finals?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When they faced off. So they were a force to be reckoned with. I didn't think they were actually that great of a team. So that kind of brought some light to it. Also, how good Reggie Miller was. I didn't know how good Reggie Miller was. I know he hits a couple big shots in a couple of the games in the series. So, and I know Michael Jordan had definitely had some angst towards him, but they definitely had some battles, and that was cool to see. The one thing that I liked at the end that kind of stuck with me is after that whole season, everyone wrote down how they felt about that last season, and I think Phil had them throw it in they read everything, they read it out what they wrote down, and then they threw everything in a fire and they burned it. So that was pretty cool. I remember that one of the last takeaways.
Yeah. Yeah, that was cool. He had his I realized how great Phil Jackson was. I mean, to handle all those egos and then go do it again with Shaq and Kobe. I think this was a big winner for him this series. He definitely comes away as one of the biggest winners. My biggest thing was I didn't realize how good Karl Malone was. Like, you didn't realize how good Reggie Miller was. Karl Malone was a beast. I mean, he really was. He didn't win anything, but he was solid, like sharp. His jump shot, just it's crazy now because the game's so different now. You know, it's such a different style of a game. But yeah, Karl Malone, his style, how good he is, definitely stood out to me. The biggest thing was everyone wanted to come back. Everyone wanted to come back at the end of this. And, you know, in the NBA, I mean, you have Michael Jordan, at least just Michael Jordan. You're in playoff contention, at least. If there's no one around him, you're in playoff contention. So when you have the best player saying, yeah, I would have came back. And then he says, well, everyone else would have came back. 1 year, let's get 7. There's no competition in the league. I mean, that is sad, especially now that Chicago's been nothing ever since, other than the D Rose years, like for those couple of years. That's sad that they could have possibly brought all of them back, you know, and Krause and Reinsdorf didn't make it happen.
You think MJ would renegotiate down his contract if Scottie had to sign?
I think so.
You think he would do it?
I think so. If it meant getting Pippen back, I think so. Because I think he said that he was doing a lot of 1-year deals. Every year was almost a 1-year deal for MJ. So yeah, that's the sad part. Now, if Chicago goes off, when maybe they have a couple rebuilding years, but then they go off and they're in the playoffs every year, every other year, going to the Eastern Cup. They haven't done that. So the fact is, you could have had them for 1 more year, got that 7th title, and you didn't do it because who was going to beat them? Especially in the lockout year the next year. I mean, they're beating San Antonio the next year, all of them back. Like, that's the sad part. You know, that's the sad part right there, that they all would have came back, lowered the money, and Krause just had it in his head. We're done. That's the sad part right there. And especially 20 years later, no championship appearances, I think it was 2 Eastern Conference Finals appearances. That's it. I mean, that's too sad. Those are my biggest takeaways. Overall, what's your recap on the series?
Which one exactly?
Overall, the whole thing.
Oh, the whole series. I think you're talking about a playoff series. If I had to give it a rating, like, personally for me, it was like 7 out of 10. I mean, I didn't love it. The thing that kind of with me was the way how they set it up is just kind of like they would take things out of chronological context and then kind of bring it back to where it was. So it was like 90. It was like the 88 or 89 season, then back to 97, then 89 season back to 97, then 91 season back to 97. And sometimes, like, I understood where they were going, but sometimes it kind of just made it hard to kind of like invest as a viewer sometimes. But overall, I think portrayed Scottie horribly. Like I think you've said that before. It portrayed Scottie in a horrible light because I think Scottie Pippen is one of the most underrated players in the NBA. Michael Jordan's right-hand man. A lot of people will say that when they say LeBron and D Wade were in the league, kind of like Scottie and MJ were similar. But I think Scottie was even better than Dwayne Wade, personally. I think he did a lot of the things that Michael didn't really need to do. So he took a lot of the burden off him, facilitating, defending, rebounding, playmaking. You know, I said facilitating, but whatever. But yeah, definitely. Like Scottie got portrayed in a horrible light. In regards to Dennis, I think it showed Dennis as an interesting character, and I think Dennis is someone that's made for TV for sure. Just the way he does things, he just kind of does his own thing. So props to Phil for letting him come back, and props to Phil for coaching that team. In regards to the other guys, like Kukoc and Kerr, I mean, they didn't really get too much they get too much shine. One loser is definitely Horace Grant. They kind of made him out to be a snitch, and nobody likes to snitch. So those are kind of my thoughts on the whole series. There's a lot about MJ, which you would know because it's a Michael Jordan documentary. We wanted more Chicago Bulls, but it was an MJ documentary more than anything.
Yeah, to your point, I mean, you could argue you had the two best players in the league. Pippen was very, like you said, underrated, and then you have Jordan. Like, you have arguably the two best players in the league that you could argue at that time, which is sad that you don't bring them back another year, especially if they were all going to come back. Erik?
If I had to give it a rating, I would have gave it an 8 out of 10. You know, I agree with Louie that the whole order that they did it kind of messed it up. I think it would have been better if they did all the flashbacks in the first 2 episodes, 3 episodes, whatever, just to clear all that up and then, or however, and work their way up until the last season and then do all the headlines from then. But yeah, I agree also that it was mostly a Michael Jordan documentary. They focused a lot on, his personality, really, and like just showing aspects of him that, have been put away ever since he stopped playing. And people have never seen this footage before, which I thought was awesome. But yeah, I mean, it also kind of put some other people in a bad spot, like Scotty and Horace Grant. I agree. They were kind of thrown under the bus with some of the things. But I did like how it portrayed Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson looked great. But yeah, I learned a lot about Jerry Krause because I never knew there was those tensions within the organization. So I just thought it was cool how it just brought a lot of these issues to light, that people forgot about once the dynasty ended. But I do think it was a good documentary for sure.
Yeah, no, subscribe if you like Rick's shirt. It's got a nice white spot on it too. Yeah, I give it like a 5 or a 6. I didn't think it was as great as it was portrayed to be. To both of your points, too many feedbacks. Like, there's probably there is. I mean, there's got to be so much footage. I wanted to see just the 97, 98 season. That's it. I didn't want to see these flashbacks. I didn't want to see all this stuff. We know what happened leading up to the way. There was some stuff that we didn't know, but it was portrayed as the last dance, the last season. Why in the world do you need to keep going back to these flashbacks? Keep the footage. The best part was the footage of that season, behind the scenes. That was the best part of the whole thing. Like, it was awesome seeing MJ behind the scenes, all that stuff. I will say some of the flashback with the behind the scenes, like MJ in his hotel room, making his bed, cooking, whatever. That was cool. But the focus was the last dance. And I didn't think they put a lot of focus on, like they could have put even way more on there. It was too long, way too long. Like, this could have been, I say personally, maybe 5 or 6 episodes. It could have maybe gone 7 and 8. 10? No way. Like, 10 just dragged out.
Who was that center on the team, that white center on the Bulls?
Bill Wennington.
Yeah, too much of him, dude.
Yeah.
What your opinion is? Dude, you are literally a scrub. Like, no offense, you're a scrub. Like, I don't need to hear it from you. I want to hear more from Scotty. I want to hear more from Dennis. I want to hear more. I don't want to hear from you because I feel like it's just like yeah, you could tell some great stories, but dude, you barely contributed. You were riding the coattails of MJ and Scotty. Mm-hmm. But the highs, I would say, of the whole series was when MJ lost his father, and just him celebrating after he won the victory and just crying, laying on the floor. Like, we've seen that all before, but just to kind of replay that was a cool thing. And then also I blanked out. Sorry, guys. Go ahead.
No,
I lost my thought.
those behind the scenes stuff, like we've seen that picture, but we've never saw the video of him crying.
Yeah.
Like that was emotional. Like I was, not that you always want to see someone crying, but like it was cool. It was in depth. That was the best part of the whole thing. But
Right.
it was just too much.
My thought just came back to me. Oh, is that the guy right there?
Shout out Bill Weddington.
Dude, nobody cares what you have to say, man. Who was the other guy? There was Cartwright too, right?
Bill Cartwright.
Cartwright, and then Will Purdue.
Yeah.
Bill Purdue.
Like, oh my god, man, it's actually unreal.
It was too much.
Like, come on, dude.
Look at what's in his background, though. Look at this. What is that?
It's got some voodoo stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh
Are those
Lord.
marshmallows or candles?
I have no clue what that is. That deserves this.
Oh my god! Wow! Oh my god!
I don't know how to take it off. All right. Oh, there we go. All right.
Make
continue.
it stop. Please make it stop. And then the talk about his leadership, that was pretty cool too. With, kind of like that whole 2-minute clip of him. I think we talked about this in episode 7 or 8. I think it was like, oh, like you guys are gonna call me a tyrant, but you guys haven't won. Like you guys haven't won anything.
Yeah.
You guys don't know what it takes to win, and I'm gonna run the ship, and I'm gonna show you guys what it takes. If I have to get in your bleep a little bit, then I will, But it's all because I want to win. It's all for the love of the game. So, I mean, I just love that about him. There's just a genuine will to win, and that's what I say. Like versus LeBron, we have that whole debate, but it's like Jordan has that eye of the tiger,
Absolutely. Yeah. It was just too long. Like by 7 and 8, I'm like, oh, we're doing this again. Like if there was regular sports on, I probably wouldn't have been as invested. That's just me. Maybe you guys would have, but for me, I wouldn't have been that invested. It was just too long. Like the Tom Brady, 9 parts. I mean, he's going to 9 Super Bowls. But the thing that gets it for me is MJ oversaw that. He had the final say in everything. Tom Brady's having the final say in everything in that documentary. How much, all his teammates now are unhappy with him. Pippen's unhappy. Was it Horace Grant was unhappy? Rodman probably gave 2 craps. Kerr, they did their interviews. They signed up for it. But MJ at the end of the day had the final say. So any reasonable person is going to make sure they get shown in as positive. Yeah, in as positive of a light as possible. Yes, they talked about the gambling here and there, but they made an effort to show Scottie Pippen's mistakes and to point him out. And even at the end, he's like, we could have got Kerr back. Rodman would have came back. It would have taken Pippen some convincing. It was very MJ bias. Again, the team doesn't win without him. But I think that just kind of takes, I don't know what the word is. Is it credence?
It's a big word for you, buddy.
Yeah, man. Brain games. It just takes away I can't think of the word. I can't think of it. I don't know. Erik, you're an English major. Can you help me?
I don't know, man.
I can't think of it. I can't think of it. But anyway, it just takes away from it. Instead of having, that producer has the final say, not MJ, that producer. So it's a general opinion. You know what I'm saying? I hope you get what I'm saying, because I'm trying my best. I can't think of that one word. But, that was my issue. Just too much MJ biased. He had the final say. And And of course, it was going to portray him in a positive light, just like that Tom Brady documentary. 10 episodes, way too long. Now, if they had sports, does it go 10 episodes? Maybe they didn't plan to. I don't know. I can't really remember if there was always planned to be 10 episodes or not. I don't know. Just too long. Too long, too dragged out. After like the third and fourth episode, I was kind of done with it. To be honest with you.
The fact that he said you guys might think I'm like an a-hole after this too. It's like, dude, you didn't portray yourself as at all.
No. He said that. What was it? He said that before it even showed.
Yeah, no.
Like there were moments where it's like, okay, maybe you were, but
like trash talk for a little bit.
Yeah, it wasn't
like
yeah, that was the only thing that took like away from it. Too long, MJ biased, and the flashbacks really killed me. I could care less about the flashbacks. You guys have any big winners?
Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson's the big winner, dude. Phil Jackson, his philosophy. Your buddy Tax Winters, Rick.
Tex.
I've been trying to learn his name now because
Tex Winters.
Every time I'm just like,
Winter.
Yeah. Whatever. Tax Winter, whatever. But having the stones to implement the triangle offense was definitely big. With a player like Michael Jordan and a player like his magnitude, to convince him, all right, dude, we're gonna take the ball out of your hands, bro. We're gonna take the ball out of your hands, and we're gonna have everybody involved. That took a lot of convincing. So props to Phil, props to Phil for that, because that props to Tax as well. He developed it, but props to Phil for having the balls to implement it and bring it amongst his colleagues to actually use it and use it effectively. I think Phil is just like the smartest man. Maybe not the greatest GM, but.
Oh yeah, well what was he GM with the Knicks?
The
right?
Knicks.
He didn't have that power with the Lakers though, did he?
No,
I'm not sure.
I don't think so.
Hell of a coach though, man. Hell of a coach.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Erik, any big winners?
I agree with Louie. I think Tex Winters and Phil Jackson are huge winners in this, and I don't know, just Michael Jordan, I think, is another winner. Just because of the way they portrayed him, and that he's the ultimate winner, and he's ready to win at all costs. So that's who I have.
Yeah, a lot of people said, I was reading some things like the teams that they faced were big losers. For me, actually, I think Utah. I didn't realize how good they were. So to me, they were a winner, even though they lost. I think people seen the greatness of actually Karl Malone and John Stockton. I think that showed, there was talent in that league. Other than them, even though they weren't as great, but to me, Karl Malone, I mean, those shots that he was making, I'm like, definitely won that for me. He was a winner in this series. They said he won
MVP in '97 too, so it's like, I didn't know that, but so.
Yeah. Another winner for me too was in terms of relationship wise, it seemed like MJ loved what was it, Scotty Harrell? Scott Harrell? Harrell. Yeah, it seemed like they had a really good sarcastic relationship, but it seemed like he actually had a mutual respect for each other.
Yeah, it seemed like he was a guy that just took it on the chin. He was just like, whatever. You can say whatever, and it won't get to him.
Yeah, it just teases him.
Definitely. Any other big losers? I know you said Pippen. I agree with that.
I think Jerry Krause.
Yes. That's another thing too, though. A lot of bias against him. He wasn't alive to say anything about it. What he did was wrong.
Yeah.
They could have kept going. But again, was there anything positive about him? Would they say one positive sentence about him? It was just was getting annoying too.
It wouldn't have been done without Jerry.
Exactly.
Yeah, he could build a team.
People,
Yep. Yeah, that was shocking. I'm like, look at this dude. He's definitely a big loser. I lost a lot of respect for him. as more of a person, not the player on the court, as more of a person. I can't really think of. I think Reinsdorf comes off as a loser. You know, he could have used more control. Told Krause, one more. This is it. One more. No, he didn't. He didn't do it. And yeah, anyone else? Do you think MJ comes off as a loser from just the production of it, the last say in it? Do you think he comes off as a loser? Not enough bias against him? I mean, he comes off as a winner, definitely, but from a documentary side.
I don't think he built enough anticipation or enough like negative things about him to like you always like when you're watching like a movie or watching anything like even a documentary, there's always like a fall and a rise, you know, and there wasn't that like big of a fall for me. They lost a couple times, they lost like a few times in the playoffs and things of that nature, and but it wasn't like I don't know, I didn't feel like it was that negative. Like damn, this is a fall. Like it's like yeah, we lost. But we'll be back. Like it's like I don't know. I need more dramatics. More dramatics. I felt like I needed personally. I get it's a documentary, but that's just me. I like the theatrics.
Yeah, and the final thing I'll say about it, I didn't like the end. I thought they'd maybe spend the last half hour, not the last 12 minutes, 10 minutes, the last half hour talking about post 97.
Yeah,
that was very fast, kind of like the Kobe thing. Very fast. You know, that should have been a segment of its own. What happened post that? You know? That was a little disappointing. I do have one more big loser. And I think you all know where I'm going with this.
Ewing out to set a pick. Here's Starks, changed his mind. Plenty of time on the shot clock, down to 10. Ewing for Smith. Smith, stopped again by Pippen. What a play by Scottie Pippen.
Oh, Charles
the
Smith.
Ball out.
Poor guy.
Poor guy, man. Wow. Poor guy. Shout out to Charles Smith.
And LaBradford Smith, too.
And LaBradford Smith. Yep.
That man.
Smith is just getting the work done.
The Smiths. Dude, pass the ball.
Who was the point guard that played with Jordan and then was
Cartwright
him when he was
No, I'm sorry. No, sorry.
I can't remember his name.
B.J. Armstrong.
B.J. Armstrong, correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's another loser for just that moment. MJ in the finals like that.
I also think Isaiah Thomas was another big loser.
Yes.
Too, from this.
Yeah. Can't stand
fat
him.
Loser.
Can't stand him. Oh,
fat loser. He's a fat loser for that one. And I would say to add on, not to loser, but a winner would be the Magic. That Magic team.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize how good they were with Penny and Shaq.
That's true.
That was that team should have won at least the chip. Personally,
Mm-hmm.
if you're asking me, at least one.
Like you knew about the Knicks, you knew about the Pistons, the Jazz, and the Magic. I mean, you didn't realize how good they were. You realize,
yeah, and in fact, like after Shaq got traded to LA, dude, they started winning championships, and I feel like Penny just was so jealous.
Yeah, just kind of.
Mm-hmm.
That could have been us, you know. It's like when your ex leaves you and leaves you for a better man. Could have been us, right, Mike?
That's right. All right. Before we head out, just a quick thought. Two quick things. Report came out this morning. So it's a Saturday that the Celtics are offering Jayson Tatum a max deal. Your thoughts? At the end of the season.
Well worth the money.
Mm-hmm.
Superstar.
I agree. There's no doubt in my mind. Give him the max right now.
Give him what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
He's the future.
Yep.
And I think the best part is, too, it still doesn't – I think he's got one more year, and then it'll take effect. So they still should have at least some salary cap room to make some improvement, especially if Hayward, I hope, would decline his option, but that's probably not happening.
No
I
way.
know.
Man.
It's too sad.
Celebrating.
Yep, we celebrate it. Just like 4th of July when he signed with us, I'll celebrate again when he leaves us. NBA return, a report came out too that they're aiming for July 31st. You got any thoughts on that?
I like the date. Gives it's a good amount of time, you know. So it's May 30th right now, so that's 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
Where there's some implications, like is that the start of the season, start of the playoffs?
I think it was. They might do a couple playing games. I mean, I have to find out the details a little bit more.
I'd be down to watch. I'd be down.
What are you down for?
I'd be down to watch some summer basketball. I think it's a great time to, bring back some action, because you just have baseball.
So about it.
What'd you say?
I don't think the players are so enthused about it.
I think some want to go back, and I think all athletes. I think there's some sort of nervousness. With everything going on.
Months, to get back into it. I mean, you got 2 months, get back into it.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. So it says owners are largely planning to support Silva's recommendation, which teams expect to include invitations for 20 to 22 teams to resume the season. So it looks like it'll be some sort of play-in tournament. It would be like a 22-team competition, and then it would cut out the Wizards, the Suns, most likely, which, I mean, who cares about them?
They're tanking
anyway. Yeah, it'd be some sort of play-in tournament. I love, though, last thing I'll say, I love they had like some sort of mock playoff. That could happen if they do all the seeds from both sides, East and West, and play them together. The Celtics are like the 5th seed. And guess who they still get in the first round?
Philly.
Like, come on. I hate that matchup. I hate that matchup.
That's a first round exit for us. I'm telling you.
I know. I took it in our mock draft a few months ago, unfortunately. But if that goes 7, though, I think the Celtics win it because they'll have home court if it goes 7. But that'll be a tough series. All right. Any final thoughts?
Got nothing here.
All right, Erik.
I'm ready for basketball. That's all I got.
All right, and
basketball is basketball. That's what I have to say.
That's
once.
All right, and we have to ask this question: will you ever come back again, Rick?
Well, if the timing's right. So.
If the timing's right, what the heck does that mean?
He's breaking.
Well, if we have some videos, I got some knowledge on, then I'll be back.
Nice. Yeah. What you're saying, whatever you guys want, you'll do it.
Oh yeah.
All right, guys. Well, this has been fun using StreamYard. Thank you guys for checking us out. You can check us out on YouTube, everything below. I'm sure you've seen it 100,000 times. Also, check us out on Instagram at Louie_Sassa, Keith Herb, Erik Herb, all good stuff. We'll catch you back soon. Bye, everyone. Peace out.